Hello everyone. This game review is for Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon: The Orcs. It is published by Slytherin Limited and developed by Flashback Games and the Lord Games Studios. This review is for express review purposes and falls under all terms of fair use and Creative Commons content. In addition to this is used for the determination of whether or not this is actually a good game, having played through the entire game. Please do enjoy. And I hope you find it helpful when determining if you wish to purchase the game or not. Welcome everyone to this review of Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon: The Orcs. This one is by Slytherin Entertainment, the makers of Panzer Corps, Soviet Corps, and the previous Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon game. It is also in co-development with the Lord Games Studio and self-published, again, by Slytherin. I received this game copy for free. We're getting all the disclaimers out of the way right now. I received this game copy for free. I am not paid by Remlays or anyone to review these games. I do so of my own volition. I give this content over to Remlays in exchange for advertising my channel, and he gets extra content for his channel as well as all of the advertising revenue to support himself and his fiancée. This is a strategy game. So, disclaimers are out of the way. Let's move on and start the review, shall we? Here in the options menu, first and foremost, we have language settings: English, French, Dutch, Russian, and Spanish. Or German, excuse me. Excuse my German friends. That's not Dutch, that's German. You can control movement speeds, turn the map grid on and off at the various levels, audio, sound effects, and what gets shown. That's it. There's no graphical options. You have to set graphics options outside the game, close the game, and reopen the game, and you can only set the graphics options while the game is already running. Fair warning. However, this is one of the few games to contain a full manual inside the game. It opens up the PDF and everything for you. Now, what this game offers is a tutorial, Act 1, 2, and a bonus act of a theoretical campaign for the Orcs pushing to a victory on Armageddon. It also offers the ability to play any of the scenarios in the game by themselves, without question or argument. Furthermore, if you log in, you can play multiplayer. You can save the game at any time, and it auto-saves each turn. So moving into campaign, I'm going to give you guys a sample of the campaign story, as well as the campaign itself. Let's do Act 2. Because this will put you in the middle of the campaign, and this is the part where I go, let's move on to the gameplay segment. Spoiler warning! Okay, we're in the gameplay segment. Let's get this started. Put on normal, Fog of War, undo, on. Name of this 4 bosses, Fiora. Here we go.
Careful where you stick that thing, Doc.
Don't get moaning, boss. This is just a scratch. It ain't like you got a massive hole in your head. Well, not this time, anyway.
There! Son, you me got lucky with his little laser stick back in the final push on Armageddon Prime. I pounded his head into a rock as payback. Where's that little git Makari? I need to slap something. Right, where was I? What's that smell?
Just burning your flesh with its blood, Tom. Cauterizing the wound. Like a punchy human medical doctor and everything. Won't be long, boss.
Hurry up! That smell's making me hungry. Right, you. Now we're almost through the jungle. Gather the boys and get cracking. Strike at the Imperials before they can get all defensive like.
So, voice acting, pretty damn good. So damn good, as a matter of fact, I bet all of you, as you read that, said Fiora in your head, even though he didn't actually say it. The gameplay itself is pretty simplistic. You have a set of units here. I can recruit or purchase more units. As you can see, the variety is huge! And it's mission dependent, depending upon what I can recruit at the time. Which also, since your army doesn't carry over between chapters, unlike the first game, fair warning, at the end of each chapter you are going to have to start with a brand new army. Which means all that XP you've accumulated is gone. As well as access to certain units is completely deprived of you. In the previous campaign, I was heavily reliant on Super Mechanobs. Don't have any Super Mechanobs now. So, click on a unit here. Actually, let's click on a unit in here so you guys can see it right and proper. Let's go with... Wow, I can't even recruit knobs. I can recruit a war boss unit. Alright, here we go. Knobs with big choppers. Or, let's find something with multiple weapons. Alright, here we go. So, you have the Storm Boys. Have a cost. The maximum number of the unit. How many hit points each model has. Movement. How they move. Their spotting mechanics. Their defense. Their initiative, i.e. when they go in the combat sequence, their melee accuracy, their ranged accuracy. And then you have their weapons, which also have an accuracy rating and an accuracy per hex decreasing. In this case, it doesn't matter because it's only 1 hex range. Now, the war boss only having a big shooter doesn't make a lot of sense to me. It's me personally. So instead, we're going to recruit knobs with big choppers. Alright, so that's the one unit I can recruit this battle. Now, my objective, as you guys can see, is marked clearly by the objective squares. These big yellow hexes that I have to get to. And we're facing off against various units. Now, I'm going to play out some of this battle for you guys so you get an idea of what the gameplay's like. So, that was me moving and attacking with a unit. Let's slow it down and give you guys an actual breakdown of what just occurred. So each unit has a movement rating, and based upon the terrain, they can move a certain speed. You'll notice that this unit can move 2 regardless of terrain, because it's a foot-based unit. So let's move here. Now you see 2 numbers. The number on the left is the number I am going to lose. That's the number of wounds that this squad is going to take by initiating this attack. On average. That does not mean that it's going to happen for sure, that number. That's just the average that should come up when we roll the dice. On the right is the number the enemy should lose. So, again, everything is done with left click. I left click. Job's done. Now, units have various abilities. Leadership means that they recover morale. Morale is this indicated here. The higher the morale, the better the unit performs. So if I stand this guy next to these 2 units, at the start of my next turn, these 2 units will regain some of their morale. Now we're going to go ahead and turn the special shooter on these guys, basically big shotguns. And they're dead. Now let's see a unit that has multiple attacks. As you can see, he's got a... This is basically like playing the tabletop version of Epic. Not the regular Warhammer 40k. No, this is like playing Epic. So he's got a Death Mega Shooter, 2 twin big shooters, and a Claw of Gork. There's the big Defa, there's the two twin Chudas, and there's the Claw of Gork. And there was the retaliatory fire, which, since they can't overcome his armor, or his defense in this case, they don't actually do any damage. Now let's see some ranged attacks. I'm in range, I fire. Notice I don't get shot back at because this unit can't shoot back at me, so there's a lot of back and forth. Some units also have special abilities like support, which allows them to fire when allies near them are attacked in support of that ally in order to do damage or flat out prevent the attack. Such as this heavy bolter that unit back here. If I assault here, you notice this icon comes up, support. And that's kind of how unit balance works. Units also have an experience rating, which I can't actually figure out what the experience does for them, but I can say this! And this is the shitty part with their experience system. At the end of each battle, you get reinforced. When you get reinforced, you lose experience because it averages out that the reinforcements have 0 XP. So, be warned. I got a whole other army here. And as you can see, this is how a turn plays out in Warhammer 40,000 Armageddon. This is the gameplay. This is the actual strategic gameplay. It's just like, again, it's just like playing a game of Epic. I'm going to assault this Leman Russ squad here and murder their asses with power claws and crushes and kill saws and all those wonderful things that the Death Dread has. Now see, there's a lucky die roll on my part. He did 0 and I did 4, which is 1 more than expected, which also results in 1 more of this unit dying. That's where the RNG comes into play. Everything's not always certain, and morale helps your RNG. Now we're just going to finish up moving this turn. Goodbye, poor Sentinel. With the custom Mega Cannon, this is really an anti-vehicle unit because of the rate of fire, which is this number over here tells you how many times it's going to shoot. Caused 8 casualties, but that's it. Whereas if I fired the Grot Bomb Launcher at, say, something with with heavy hit points, it would do more damage. And then we check for movement. We have 1 more shot and end turn. Glory over here is your overall campaign score. Requisition over here is how you get more units or how you replace casualties. Which obviously I need to replace casualties here because this Annihilator just came up and owned these horn squigs into little pieces. There are new units in comparison to the previous game. Many, many new units, particularly for the orcs. Actually, almost specifically for the orcs. And this is basically the entirety of the gameplay. If you would like, I am now going to jump to a scenario for you guys. I don't really care. I'm not saving this progress for any reason. So you can see, hopefully, in the big, bad, orcish army style, everything the orcs have to offer. As you can see, our 2 armies are, I don't have the story reason why, but we're surrounding this unit of salamanders. But here's every last single unit in the game. You have squigs, including bomb squigs. You have Gretchen, tank busters, mega armored knobs, which, by the way, I was relying very heavily on these in the first in the tutorial and the first chapter of the game. which they change color so that you know the difference between the ranged heavy ones and the melee heavy ones. Kind of nice. A War Boss unit, but it only comes with a big shooter. I don't understand why the War Boss only comes with a big shooter. That seems weird. You keep moving and you find... These are all the infantry. Walkers. Every Orc Walker ever built is here, including the Squigoths. The mighty, mighty Squigoths. Vehicle-wise, regular vehicles, non-tanks. Lots of different Orc variants. Tanks, you have even some of the newer stuff from Games Workshop, as well as some of the old classic stuff they don't make anymore that is available here, that is canon to the game. You have artillery, which apparently the Battle Fortress is an artillery, go figure. Aircraft, which aircraft don't really act like aircraft very much. They do take a lot of damage from anything that shoots at them, and therefore aren't really super useful in this game. And of course you have the obligatory Titans, including Great Gargants. Yes, yes, Great Gargants, which can't even list all of their actual weapons. I find this to be problematic because this thing obviously has a Titan chainsword, but it's not listed. Grrr. But that's pretty much the game. I'm allowed to purchase and add one unit. We're going to make it count. I'm going to drop an Orc Gargant right there. So, let's see how this works on the big scale, shall we? We're facing off against the Salamanders and their Terminators. As you guys can see, I am doing my best to figure out what I can shoot from range in order to do as much damage to them as possible before I close into melee and murder. Poor scouts. Didn't even stand a chance. And again, this is epic. Massive casualties on each side. That was obviously a mistake. I should not move those little guys to go face off against Terminators. Maybe they can just be a sacrifice unit. Titan Warfare. Little guy who brings down the Warhound. Outright brings down a Warhound. And let's get some of our Mega Armor Knobs slaughtered. As you can see, units hold up about how they should hold up. That was a good chunk of my army, and these Fire Drake Terminators are still here with their heavy flamers ready to go. Well, they were still here. And almost all the rules for what you would consider tabletop Warhammer 40k epic are in effect here. They're very well simulated. I must give them 100% credit for managing to very well simulate playing a Warhammer 40k epic game. I'm not doing that. That's kind of suicidal. And I've still got more units to move. Go figure. But I want you guys to see Retaliation, and then we're going to talk about overall thoughts on the game. The game is bug-free from what I can tell. I've encountered no game-breaking glitches No hard bugs. There are a few balance issues, particularly between the New York units and the old units from the previous game. But other than that, it's a straight-up facelift. It's almost... It's an expansion pack, really. A standalone expansion pack, but it's still an expansion pack. I do appreciate the standaloneness for the expansion of the game. I can say that honestly. However, I do have reservations about this game in particular and what's going on. But let's see a full retaliation by the enemy, and then we're gonna go talk. Wow, my Squigs just got murdered hard. But then again, Terminator should do that. Squigs are cannon fodder after all. Yes, those were Reaver Titans. They refuse to die, sir! And then we have... I think this is a bug. There's just times when stuff is clearly happening and processing, and the game isn't moving forward. And I'm not quite sure what to make of that. As you can see, there's a reason why there's no graphic option. If your computer can't run this on graphics, you have a severe... You need to upgrade your computer. This is all the graphics. This is it. There seems to be more graphical interface between what an explosion looks like and fire going off than the actual models themselves. Not that that's necessarily a bad thing. But, all that aside, you guys have now seen the gameplay, you've seen the game. Let's go talk about what the game actually is supposed to offer, and then talk about how I feel about it, and how I generally reflect upon it as a reviewer. So, game has very few reviews, as you can see. It's a turn-based strategy game. If you're into Warhammer 40k Epic, you'll have a decent time. Not the best time in the world, but a decent, well-rounded experience. It's the basic story of Armageddon with the what-if chapter, what if the Orcs had won, and how that would play out for the Orcs to win, basically annihilating the Imperial Guard, Ultramarine, Salamanders, and Blood Angels forces. Yes, they do deliver on the 400 unit types. Most are just variants of each other, as you would have in a epic game, where these guys are equipped with heavy bolters, these guys are equipped with sluggas and choppas, you know, that kind of deal. The stats truly are unique. However, I find that most often the army that wins is the army that brings the most big, bad, angry stuff that's really hard to kill. The multiplayer maps were decent. I wouldn't say they were amazing at any time, and the different scenarios you could do are okay. Total of only 18 scenarios. It's fewer than the previous game for Armageddon. The previous game for Armageddon had 23 scenarios, so you're not getting as many scenarios. Plus, you have to remember that of those 18 scenarios, 4 of them are what-if scenarios. Not anything pertaining to lore itself. Yes, the in-game editor works. I've tried it out myself. It does work. You can edit and create your own levels, create your own units. The AI will pick up and use it like it's their own. Everything works fine. And there is, of course, the bonus tutorial campaign in addition to the bonus theoretical What If the Orcs Won campaign, in which you get to see how Ghazghkull rose to power in order to be able to deliver his law to Armageddon. So, it's $20 for a standalone expansion. The other version of Armageddon is also, right now, 50% off because of the recent release in order to inspire people to buy both. How do I feel about it? And yes, I fully expect a massive amount of orc-based DLC for this one. Just lots and lots of DLC. But how do I feel about it? It's good enough. If you enjoy Epic, the tabletop game Epic for Warhammer 40k Epic, you'll enjoy this. If you don't enjoy Epic, you won't really find any enjoyment here. This is not going to make new Warhammer 40k fans, nor is it going to necessarily lose any. The voice acting and story are good, but they were pre-written for the game itself long before this game came out as the story of the Battle of Armageddon, the first Battle of Armageddon. I can't say that that makes it good or bad necessarily. The voice acting's decent at least. The game is... I'm not going to say bad, but to me personally, there's been no... It's just a standalone expansion that simply lets you play more scenarios. It doesn't really, in my opinion, deserve to be its own quote-unquote game for a full $20. And Slytherin has been known to do this in the past with Panzer Corps and a couple of their other series. They simply release quote-unquote standalone expansions as their own game, but in reality, it's just a really big DLC package that should be attached to the base game in and of itself for a smaller price. I feel like this should be between $9 and $12 USD instead of a full $20 game package. More importantly, this seems to be no reward for owning the other game. So it's like, yeah, we're just going to go off and make this game here. That's honestly how I feel about it. If you're interested in it, go ahead, pick it up. If you liked Warhammer 40k Armageddon, I didn't particularly care for it, but that's because I expected something different, and this is what I got, so go figure. But if you liked Warhammer 40k Armageddon, you'll like this. You'll like playing as the orcs, you'll like having a good time as the orcs. I am disappointed that they broke the promise not to do this, because they originally said that there would be an expansion for the orcs to play as the orcs through the entirety of the original Armageddon game, and instead of delivering said expansion, they've now delivered a standalone game for a higher price than what an expansion pack for the other game would have costed. But that's their prerogative. That's their ability to do that. If you want to support them, go ahead. I would recommend it, but I recommend it with the reservation that you're not getting anything new. You're getting the same game repackaged for orcs with a very similar experience to what you had before. If you found you had hours of fun before, you'll have hours of fun here. If you found you didn't have a lot of fun, you won't have a lot of fun here. And there are better strategy games out there, such as the Dawn of War series, particularly with Dawn of War 3 coming up. This kind of feels like a mediocre competitor to Dawn of War 3, as I would say the poor man's Dawn of War 3, but it's not the poor man's Dawn of War 3, because between the two games, you're spending in excess of $100 to own all of it, if it's not on sale. So it's not really the poor man's Dawn of War, so much as it is a different take on what you would expect for a Warhammer 40k strategy game, and in this case, it's a turn-based game. But if you want a simulation for Epic, go for it. That's everything I have to say on it. This has been Fiora. You can come check out my channel in the description below. I cover a lot of Warhammer games, particularly right now I'm doing a lot of Total War Warhammer, as well as a lot of tank and vehicle-based combat games, such as Armored Warfare. A brand new game called Tanky has recently come out, and I've been showing it off a little bit. There's also some World of Tanks occasionally, and hey look, I recently went to the Bovington Tank Museum. Maybe you'll be interested in seeing real-life tanks up close and personal that you can physically touch and climb on. In the meantime, from my house to yours, this has been Fiora, and I hope to see all of your lovely faces next time. Bye-bye, guys.